Welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up. This is the captain's meeting for KFNW, IKBF, OKBF, WKBF for 2023. We've already done a meeting to talk about the rules. So we're not going to dive too deep into rules in this one. But if anybody has questions about the rules, we can definitely review some of those bigger topics in regards to rules. First thing I want to talk to you about is the schedule. The schedule's up. Hope everybody's had a chance to look at it. We do want to talk about a few of the events and some of the slight differences in the way we're doing some things this year. Nothing major, but I'm going to pull that up, and I think I'll share my screen with everyone as well, so we can all look at the same sort of thing. Let's see. Where's my screen share? Right there. Got too many screens open. That's a problem. Okay. So it's right here. Share. All right, everybody see that?
Seeing it fine.
Great.
I got it.
Okay, so this is our live event schedule. You can see we've got our 3 season kickoff opens in April. OKBF being the first, IKBF being the last, since they are the last ones to thaw out. We've got some cold weather coming in here. I'm sure all of you guys do as well. Going back to Henry Hagg Lake for OKBF, Mason Lake, where we did a tour event a couple of years ago. I'm going to try and make it up to that one, Jim, so I should be able to come up and fish that one. And then IKBF at Black Canyon Reservoir should be good spots for both. So for those of you that are kind of new here, the way these season kickoff opens work, you don't need a membership to fish them. First of all, you don't have to sign up for a KFNW membership. So you can come and try it out, see if you like this. These are a little bit lower pressure events. They're not super competitive. They're a little more fun. And they're really about introducing new people to the group. Somebody's got their mic on and I hear background noise. Mute yourself if you would. If that noise is, if you're not talking, mute yourself.
Hearing it too.
That's better. Somebody got it. Okay. So the way it works is you show up, we do our captain's meeting, and then we pair everybody up into 2-person teams. We take the less experienced anglers and we pair them with a more experienced angler into 2-person teams. And then we send you out to fish together, basically. This is a great way for the more experienced people to go over all the details of how this works, help them get good photos, help them get them uploaded to Tourney X, show them the ropes more or less. The way that it's set up in Tourney X, it's a 3-person limit per angler. We had 2-person limit before, but I upped it to 3 because all these places we're fishing should produce. Henry Hagg might not. It might be a little tricky to get fish on Hagg, but I think everything's going to produce this year. I think it won't be a problem. So the way it works is both anglers really need to catch fish for you to win. If the vet goes out there and says, well, I'm just going to catch my 3 fish and not help the rookie, which doesn't really happen. We don't have that problem. But if that were to happen, you're never going to win by doing that. Because 6 tiny fish is going to beat 3 big fish any day of the week. So it's a 6-hour event instead of an 8-hour event. It's only a $25 entry, so it's not a big payout. And this doesn't have payout boosts like some of our other events from our sponsors. So the payouts are not very big on it. It's really more about fun and meeting new people, meeting new friends, people you can fish with. That's sort of the whole goal with it. After we finish April, then we jump right into the competitive tour events. Somebody's messaging me on Facebook. What's going on there? Somebody.
No, just ignore it, Marvin. It was
Good.
me.
Okay, that's you. Yeah, if somebody keep an eye on the chat too while we're in here, just to see if there's anything important that somebody's asking or bringing up. That's another way to ask a question. If you just want to post a message in chat. So then we get into the tour events in May, June, and July. We've got 3 in each division, each state and each month you'll have a tour event that's a West Coast Championship qualifier. You see by the logo, the West Coast Championship logo on here. Right now, the West Coast Championship, we're planning on doing it at the Delta. We're kind of considering bringing it back to Clear Lake, but we're not sure because Clear Lake really fished poorly last year. It would be easier for us to do it on Clear Lake, but and they've relaxed some of the rules that weren't allowing us to do that before. So we'll see. It's going to be one of those 2 places for sure. It won't. There's nowhere else that it would be. And the way these work is, if you win any one of those, if you're in the top 25% of any one of those, then you've qualified for the West Coast Championship. You can go down and fish it. So if you're in the top quarter, you're in. If you fish and complete any 3 in any combination of the states, you also qualify to go. So this is where it gets a little strategic. Like you could fish, let's say you can't make all 3 in your state. You could fish the first couple, and then if you weren't able to fish the one of them in your own state, you can travel and go to one of the other 2 states and just complete one event, and again, you'll be in. So that's an easy path to get in. We've had over 100 anglers at the event both years that we've done it. The payouts are huge for that event, and there's a lot of side pots that you can get into as well. So I think Cayman won like $5-6 grand last year. It's a big payout. It's a fun event. Get to see people from 8 different states, 10 different clubs, something like that. Really cool. So quickly, Sprague Lake, Dorena Lake, and Lake Walcott in May. Lake Whatcom, 10 Mile Lake, Anderson Ranch Reservoir in June. And then in July, Rife Lake, Green Peter Reservoir, and Dworshak Reservoir. All really good lakes. I'm going to try and fish as many of these as I can. Scheduling is going to be a little bit tough, but you know, if you can make it to, if you want to travel and you can make it to Lake Walcott, 10 Mile Lake, Dworshak Reservoir, those in particular are all really good lakes that you would enjoy, I think, if you made the trip to go.
Don't
10
leave
miles for largemouth here, Dworshak for smallmouth up in Idaho. Killer. What were you starting to say? Was that Jim?
Don't leave out of Soyuz.
I'm not there yet. We're in the West Coast Championship qualifiers. That's coming up for sure. So those are our West Coast Championship qualifiers, the first 3 events of the year.
You do have a question in chat, by the way.
Okay. Let me get through the schedule and then we'll jump onto that, unless it's about those first events. I can't really see it in this particular screen share mode. Okay, so then after those are over, then we get into August. And as Jim rightly pointed out, let's talk about a Soyuz Lake. A Soyuz Lake last year, we did a tour event there. And for those of you who are new and don't know about our Citation Bass Awards, we track throughout the season everybody that catches a smallmouth that's 19 inches or larger and a largemouth that's 20 inches or larger. And you get a pin at the end of the year, a ceramic, enamel pin with a smallmouth on one and a largemouth on the other. If you catch fish that size. We had more citation fish in that event than any other event that has ever happened in all of KFNW in all 3 states. And when I say more, I mean like 6 times more. There were, how many were there, Jim? 20,
We had 20 some.
23,
fish,
something
yeah.
like that. There were
23
a
on it.
crazy amount of huge fish. And I talked to so many guys who lost huge fish as well during that event that didn't even get registered. It was like well over half the anglers who fished the event caught a citation fish. And we had citation largemouth and citation smallmouth.
Right.
It's a little remote. It's going to take some travel. It's on the Canada border. Half the lake's in Canada, half's in central eastern Washington. And we just fish the Washington side. You're not allowed to go over the border to fish the other side. But
Park is gorgeous. The lake
killer
is
event.
gorgeous. It's a gorgeous drive. The fishing is phenomenal. The town is cool. I mean, it's probably, that's why everybody loves it, because everything's just, it's a really nice place. It is a bit far to get up there, but man, it is so worth the trip.
I mean, I really wanted to go last year and I just couldn't do it. And then after I saw the catches, I was like, oh, damn, I've
Well,
got to go next year.
I don't normally set 2 tournaments on the same body of water in years next to each other, because I try to rotate things around.
Same.
I got so many people came back to me and said, we want to fish this next year. We want to fish this next year. That we're here to do what the guys want for the most part, as far as bodies of water to fish. And I mean, it's a great body of water, and we're just going to do it a different time of year, make it a little bit different. It should be a great time of year for fishing there.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody wanted it, so here it is. And it's
Well, that's the thing. Like a lot of our lakes don't fish great in August. But up there, that's way less of an issue. It's a lot cooler up there. And that takes us to our next event down here in Oregon at Crane Prairie Reservoir. And it's the same deal with that. It's up in the mountains, it's near Bend. It's a little cooler weather up there. So it's one of the few places we can fish in August that fishes well. And we did it last year in late July, I think. So almost the same time frame as this. And like Jim said, I don't like to repeat the same place 2 years in a row. Or I might repeat it if like 1 year it was the opener and 1 year it was the classic. Then I might make it a tour event the next year. But in general, we try to avoid it. But we're doing it this year because it's just, we know it's going to be good that time of year. And because after that event on Saturday, 8/12 at Crane Prairie, the next day we've got the 2nd annual Flying Kayak Open on Davis Lake. So we did this for the first time last year and just had a handful of anglers. We just wanted to try the concept out and see if we liked it. And everybody loved it. So we decided to really go all in this year. This is a fly fishing only kayak tournament on Davis Lake, which is a fly fishing only lake. Barbless hooks are required as well on Davis Lake. There are trout, rainbows and browns in the lake, and largemouth bass. And historically, it had gigantic largemouth bass. They were originally illegally planted there, and they took off and did really well. And they've pulled a lot of them out. ODFW has pulled them out and moved them, usually to Prineville Reservoir, some of the really big ones, but there are still big fish in there. I caught a couple of 18s in there. I mean, it's a good lake. And we've got Portland Fly Shop as our signature sponsor for that event this year. They've donated they will be donating $1,000 to us for that event. So that's going to boost the payouts. And we've increased the entry fee to $50 this year. So it's going to match our other tour event payouts. It'll be a really good payout, depending on the number of people that show up. If we get like 50 people to show up, we're looking at $2,000 or so for first place. So it's going to be a big event. We've also got Yakima has come on board as a sponsor for that event. And they're donating one of their double haul fly rod carriers that goes on your roof rack to hold a couple of fly rods. $800 value. They're donating one of those that we're going to give away to randomly choose anybody who completes the event. So some cool prizes as well. Then we go down the very next weekend to the West Coast Championship. August is going to be a little bit insane. I'm sorry, you're welcome. But yeah, if you want to do a Soyuz, Crane Prairie, Davis Lake, California Delta, West Coast Championship, and then swing over to CJ Strike in Idaho, you're going to be a very busy person, but should be a fun month. Maybe a few people will end up single after that month. And then we take it easy on you in September. We've got IKBF and OKBF are coming together. If you fished with us last year, you remember we did an event with all three. Our first event of the year had all three over at Lake Wallula on the Columbia River. So this time we're doing just OKBF and WKBF on Lake Umatilla in the Columbia River. So down near the Umatilla, Boardman, Arlington area. It's the same chunk of water basically that we did for the Classic last year, from McNary Dam down to the John Day Dam. One key difference this year for this event, we didn't allow you to go up into the tributaries, the rivers, the cuts, the John Day River. We didn't allow you to go very far up into those. You really could only go to the highway. This year for this event, you're going to be able to go up into those as far as you want, really. If you want to go up into the John Day River and fish that, you can. And the beauty of that is if it's windy, because the wind can be an issue on the Columbia, you can get out of the wind by going up into the John Day. The John Day is not nearly as rough in bad wind. So it gives people an option to spread out. In addition to that being a joint tour event between our two, on that same day, you can triple dip and do the Native Watercraft No Limit Big Bass Power Hour. This is our second year doing that event. We did 5 native events last year across the country. This year, I think we're going to be doing 7 events. So we're going to do the same basic area for 5 of them, and we're adding 2 more locations this year in other parts of the country that I can't quite name yet, but they're great bass fishing parts of the country. So that event, you can win $1,000 every hour for the big bass every hour. As we like to say with me and the other directors who are running that event, we appreciate the Billy Bobs coming out and fishing that event. So the people who don't necessarily fish tour events, tournament series all the time, or maybe you're intimidated to do so because they don't know if they can compete head to head, man, anybody can catch the biggest fish in one given hour. Anybody can get lucky enough to do that. And that's our attitude with it is come on out and fish the event. You may get lucky and get the biggest fish. And if the fishing's bad in a given hour, as Jim pointed out a few minutes ago, a 14-inch fish can win it, can win that $1,000. So you catch 14-inch fish, win $1,000. That's really something. And then it's also a no limit tournament. So all the fish you catch throughout the day, we calculate them all, everything 14 inches and over. We calculate and the total wins. Kyle Zemke won it last year at Potholes Reservoir. He won 2 hours. So he won $2,000 gift, and he won the big, no limit rather. And he won a kayak because he won the no limit. So I'd have to look up the total again for what he won, but it was the dollar value of everything he won was incredibly high. So that should be a blast doing that event with all those together. I'm expecting probably in the neighborhood of 120 anglers to fish that event. It partly depends on how many people come over from Idaho, since they're not part of the tour event deal. But if we can get a bunch of people from Idaho to come over and fish that event too, we'll easily hit 120, I think, which will make the payouts great. The no limit payout, and of course, still the $1,000. The $1,000 is contingent on us getting enough anglers for that, but I'm not really worried about that. I'm sure we will this year.
Got a lot of those North Idaho, far Eastern Washington guys.
It's not too far from them either, right?
They're saying they want to come fish that native event. So I'm trying to get them to, you know, maybe KFNW it up and go ahead and fish all three. You know, you're kind of
Absolutely. Why not double dip?
crazy enough to fish all of them. So,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
should
So
have
the Coeur d'Alene people, the Moscow people, the Spokane people. Yeah. It's
Got a
kind
lot
of a
of those
central
that-
location for everybody.
Yep, got a lot of those guys that are looking into it, which Chris, this could be good because hopefully we can get some more people in the Idaho side. That's what I'm hoping for. You know, build it one way, build it all way. We can build it how we build it. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm hoping we can get some more people in on the Idaho side of things. So they definitely want to come down and fish that though. I've been asked questions about that a couple times and I've told them I can't tell you much because I don't know much, but this
Sure.
is what it's to be.
So cool. Yeah. And I'll jump into that in just a minute, but more details to come. So then last but not least, we've got Swan Falls in November. Yeah, in November. In September for IKBF. That should be great. We haven't done anything there in a couple of years. We did a season opener there a couple of years ago, which, you know, is a tougher time of year on that body of water because it's chilly. But it should be great in September. That should be a neat event. And then last is the Kayak Bass Classic. We come back to Oregon this year, and we're going to do it on the Upper Willamette River. It's kind of a dark horse. People are a little surprised by that choice, but it should be great. We're going to have a big chunk of water. It's going to be from Willamette Falls up to somewhere around probably the Yamhill River, which is a lot of river. I calculated the other day. I think it's something like 40 river miles or something. And we usually have in the neighborhood of 20 anglers that qualify for that, 20 to 20, about 24 usually qualify, and we have about 20 show up, depending on who can't make it. So you'll be spread out on that much water. There's a good chance, well, there are those honey holes, those sweet spots that you'll find a few people, I'm sure, but in general, you'll be spread out. You won't be competing that much for water with people, which is cool. That chunk of the Willamette holds largemouth and smallmouth. The largemouth, I have seen some big largemouth come out of there. I know there have been some citation largemouth in the 20-inch range, but that's a pretty rare fish in that chunk of water. The largemouth tend to be a little smaller than that. But we just last year, we had, I think, 3 or 4 fish submitted that were around 22-inch smallmouth that were caught in that chunk of the river. And that's, I don't care where you are, that's a big smallmouth. Any part of the country, that's a big smallmouth. And we saw a number of them. That lake is, or that river rather, is really on the rise. Just a few years ago, we were catching good numbers in it, but they were smaller fish. They were 15s. And so those 15s have grown up in the last few years, and now we're seeing some really big fish caught out of that river. So that should be a blast. I'm looking forward to that event. It's basically right in the Portland area. We'll be fishing from the Oregon City, West Lynn area all the way up to, I don't even know what town. We'd be up around, it's past Wilsonville even. I think, but it's just outside of Portland. So that means camping is going to be not really very available. So you're going to be thinking about more things like Airbnbs and stuff to find a place to stay if you qualify and come to that event. The qualifications haven't changed for that. So you need to win a tour event. Any person who wins a tour event, you've automatically qualified. AOI for our tour events gets in, and second and third runner up for AOI for our live events gets in. The AOI for the onlines and the AOI runner up get in from all the online challenges. And the person who wins the season long in their state, in each state, they qualify. And we've had people do that. We've had people who've qualified strictly by fishing that season long and winning it. So it's good. It's a good way to get in. Let's see. And then we've got our online challenges. I've had a few people asking me recently about the online challenges, and I've got at least the season longs are all in Tourney X now. And the March events are all in Tourney X. So you can click on these links that you see right here and get into Tourney X and sign up for those. I think I've got all of the IKBF online challenges in, and I should have all of the online challenges and the rest of the live events in Tourney X in the next few days. I'm cranking through them now and getting them updated, and I'll keep going through and checking all the details and making sure they're right. If you see any issues with any of those tournaments when you go to sign up, if the details look wrong, something about them, please let me know, because it's a lot of work building all these, and so it's kind of easy to make little mistakes here and there. So we'll double and triple check it and make sure they're all right. I am going to stop this screen share now. So what was our question in chat? What did we have there?
Look, the question was about fishing other states. So with a Kayak Fishing Northwest membership, that gives you eligibility to fish in any of the 3 states.
Absolutely right. One membership, $60. Fish as many events in as many of our 3 states as you would like to. Of course, if the event says open in the name, if it's an open, then you don't need a membership. You can just fish. Come on out, pay your entry fee, of course, and fish. Anything else in chat? I see a bunch of chats in there, but any other questions that are important?
No, we answered them. Somebody said they come from Idaho.
Great.
And they're talking about the last year's native event on potholes.
Oh, great. I want to talk for a sec about sponsors, because we love our sponsors. In fact, Chris, while I'm pulling this up, do me a favor and remind everybody why and how they should support our sponsors.
So just do us the favor. So when you're ordering, right, we all know we spend a lot of money on fish stuff that we probably don't tell our significant other about. But there's a little, at the end of almost anywhere you order from, especially when you're ordering online, it says like comments. Just put a little, hey, thanks for supporting whatever, Kayak Fishing Northwest, your IKBF, or whatever. When you stop into your local shop, make sure they know you're with us. So that way, when we go back and hit them up, they know that they're getting their bang for their buck. It helps a ton. It's very easy when I can walk into a shop and they're already on. Like, all I'm literally doing is walking in and shaking a hand. Like, it makes life so much easier for us, which in turn makes life better for you, because they're either giving us money or product or both. It's just helpful. So make sure you just give those plugs online. I understand you guys have your favorites. Plug our sponsors. And if you don't want to, DM the guy and say, hey, if this is what you're looking for, try this one. But publicly support our sponsors, please.
Absolutely.
On our pages, you can do what you want on your personal page.
Yeah, absolutely. On your personal page, do whatever. If you're using a product that our sponsors don't carry, or is a competitive brand, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. But publicly, let's be sure in our groups to make sure and talk about our sponsors, or just keep your mouth shut. If you don't agree, that's okay too. We have carefully picked our sponsors, and I think they all make fantastic products. But if you don't agree, that's totally your right. But keep that private.
That would be the same if you had a bad experience with a sponsor. If you have a bad experience, reach out to one of the 3 of us.
Privately.
Others, if you don't want to reach out to me, reach out to Marvin, to Jim. Several others can help with that. We do talk to them, and they listen to us. So if you had a bad experience, let us know so we can try and help on the back end and make it right.
And if you are sending them a note like Chris was talking about, and you mention IKBF or OKBF, make sure you list KFNW in there as well, because a lot of them, that's where they're coming in. Some of them are coming in specifically through one of us, through one of the divisions, but a lot of them are coming in from KFNW as the parent organization. So that's probably what they're more familiar with. So just be sure and mention that too, if you do mention your division. I'm going to go through a list here of who we've got as sponsors this year. These are all pretty much locked down. I might miss one or two that are not on this list, but this will give you an idea of who we can look forward to seeing gear from, or that they've donated money to us that helps us with payouts and all the other expenses and things that we run into. New this year, Adams Family Tackle in Idaho. Welcome to them. I just saw Chris Adams at the Sportsman's Show here in Portland on Saturday, I think it was. I hung out with him and got to know him. I hadn't met him yet, so that was great. We had some good conversations. Bending Branches are on board, and that one's kind of unique. They give us some merchandise last year, some apparel and stuff. This year, they're giving us some grab bags of apparel. Like you'll get a hat and a shirt and a gaiter and, a combination of things. And we'll give those away to any of our members. But they're also giving us one of their top of the line paddles. It's their Angler Pro Versalock. It's like a $350 paddle. They're giving us one of those, and I'm going to be paying attention to who the anglers are here that are still in a paddle only kayak. They're not using a pedal kayak. They're not upgrading to a motor, which we allow this year for the first time for all of our tour events. So those folks that are out there rocking a paddle, I want to know who you are. I want to make sure I know who you are, and I'm going to track who you are. And at the end of the season, we haven't decided exactly. I got to talk to them about how we want to do it. It's either going to be the angler that finishes the highest, or it'll be random between all of the paddlers out there. If you use a pedal or a motor in even one event, you won't be eligible. So I'll have to double check that all as we get closer. It's going to be a little work for us to track it all, but I think it'll be fun. Boggs is back with $100 gift cards. We've got, I think, 7 of those this year that will be given away. And a bunch of guys have contacted me, guys and gals have contacted me after they've used theirs and like, man, I love these shoes. They're great. So they do a lot of shoes that are great for water sports, and also just winter shoes and street shoes. Let's see, who else? Dakota Lithium is back. We will have something from Dakota Lithium at every single tour event and the classic this year. They are, I believe at this point, they are our biggest in-kind gear sponsor of the season. So if there's anybody that you can choose to support, Dakota Lithium would be at the top of my list to ask you to please support them and let them know that you appreciate their support of KFNW. Dry Creek Outfitters is back. They are our big bass for Idaho, correct, Chris? So that means if you win big bass, we have a pot for big bass for every event. You put $10 in to the pot if you want to be in the big bass competition. And if you put into the pot, you have a chance of winning. Whoever catches the biggest bass for that event wins. And we boost it with a $100 gift certificate from Dry Creek Outfitters. Or here in Oregon, it's Next Adventure. You get a $100 gift certificate from Next Adventure. And in Washington, it's Three Rivers Tackle again. Let's see. Ego Fishing is back. We'll have a bunch of gear from them. I believe we have something for every single event from them. Nets and dry bags mostly. Still working on that. Can't say that. We do have a discount code from Kitech. If you go to your members only page, you'll find a discount code. I think it's like my name or something, the code, but because that's through my affiliation with Kitech. So if you want to buy some Kitech stuff, you get a good discount. I think it's 20%.
Which not to jump in, jumping in. Just as a reminder, guys, with your membership, you do get access to that membership page, which has codes for various supporters of us. They're not necessarily all sponsors of events. Most of them are, but additionally, some have just codes. Kitech's one, it's 15 or 20% off or something.
Real Snot's another. You get a discount on Real Snot.
Helps. Next Adventure, you get 15% off your accessories, which includes a lot of these others. They carry a lot of our sponsors. So you can get some really good deals on some of this stuff once you're a member.
And you get a discount on boats, which we're not really gonna say how much, but in a public forum like this, but you do get a discount on boats. There are some things that are accepted, like motors are accepted because the margin's just not great enough for them to give us a discount like that. But most things you do get that discount from Next Adventure. Major Craft, let's hear it, Jim. Talk about Major Craft. They're back.
Well, Major Craft is back again this year. I've talked to Eric several times. Need to give him another call. They're supposed to be giving us a whole pile of rods like they have been in the past, and then a whole bunch more stuff as far as swag and different things. He's got a bunch of stuff that he's trying to get through to the folks back in Japan to make things, to just make it that much better for us. So they're definitely on board. It's just sometimes the supply chain is a little bit slow for us.
Yes, it's a lot better this year. I will say the supply chain stuff should be a whole lot better.
But and the good thing about Major Craft as well is hopefully they got a brand new series of rods coming out. Sounds like we may be getting a bunch of those, so that'd be spectacular.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. So we should have something for every event from them. I think we'll have a rod for every event and maybe a rod plus some other stuff.
Yeah, that's hopefully what it is. A rod plus some stuff, and then the bundle like we did for the Classic.
Yeah, Matt Burdick won three
of them
Major Craft rods at the Classic last year. Three rods.
That was a big win.
And they were 3 drop shot rods because Matt prefers to drop shot over any other fishing technique out there. He's just a pure finesse fisherman, if you know him.
That pile's getting pretty deep. You're gonna need to put on some rubber boots.
Hey, you're supposed to be eating. Get back to dinner.
I'm done with dinner. I'm here. I can hear Marvin talking.
Jogging crap. Okay, so yeah, he hates drop shot. Absolutely hates it. Is the honest truth. Motley Tackle is back. We had some tackle from them last year, and it's great stuff. It's mostly tungsten, so tungsten jigs and really cool stuff. So they're back. Glad to see that. Next Adventure are back for sure. They have committed. They are one of our presenting sponsors. NRS Fishing are back. We've got PFDs and co-pilot knives and other pieces of gear from them that we'll be giving away. Old Town are back. They are another presenting sponsor this year, and we will be giving away one Old Town kayak this year, but it's a big daddy. It's going to be a big autopilot Old Town kayak. So it's, you know, $5,000-$6,000 kayak. So if you fit, it's going to be the same sort of deal we've done in the past. If you complete up to 4 events, and you know, I'll think about that. I'll think about allowing people to qualify by doing multi-divisional stuff. I think in the past, because we were giving them away in each division, you had to complete 4 in your division. But I might loosen up on that a little bit and rewrite that rule a little bit. But it'll be something along those lines. You'll have to complete a number of events to qualify to be in the drawing to win that Old Town. And I'll probably do that Old Town drawing at Next Adventure. And if you can get there to pick it up, that would be ideal. PNW Bass Candy. Jim, talk to us about PNW Bass Candy. That's a new sponsor this year.
Yeah, they're a new sponsor, jig company. They're here locally to me, Tri-Cities. They make a great product. Their jigs are pretty outstanding. They stay together. They're a good quality jig. So I've used them for a year and a half now. Caught a lot of fish on them. They're one of my favorite jigs. So they're great for, you know, they're not a finesse. Well, they have some finesse stuff, and they have a lot of plastics as well. And they're going to be giving us, I think they're going to make packages for every state. We're going to have like 2 or 3 jigs and 2 or 3 packages of plastics per event, something like that. So it should be it's good stuff, really good stuff.
That's awesome. I'm excited. I follow their Instagram. Their Instagram channel is really good. They do some great little short videos and stuff of their products, and it's cool looking stuff. I got to try some of it.
They're definitely artists when it comes to some of their stuff, their jigs and stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. Portland Fly Shop, as I said, they're in for the Flying Kayak Open. That's what they've sponsored. Real Snot, I mentioned, they're a discount code. I use that stuff. It's great if you want to spray it on your line. It lubricates your line, conditions your line. I haven't talked to them yet. I need to do that. Shelt is back. So we're going to have some sun protection kits from Shelta with the Shelta hat and gaiters and sun gloves and shirts and stuff. We'll have some packages from them again this year. Three Rivers Tackle is our $100 Big Bass bonus boost. Yak Attack is back. I'm still working out the details with them, but we should be seeing, I think, gift codes like we've done in the past on that. Yakima, as I mentioned, for the Flying Kayak Open, they're donating a rod carrier. And our buddy Kyle Zemke at ZR Custom Tackle. I want to also put a thanks out to, of course, Chris and Jim have helped me a lot this year with sponsorship, but I want to put a shout out to Kent Boatwright, who's in here, because he's been helping us with sponsorship too. Kent, is there anybody else that I haven't mentioned? I know you're working on some deals that were close. Is there anybody that we can say, yeah, this is going to happen?
I think maybe the closest thing that we are right now is with Chums for some, retainers, like, sunglass retainers and maybe some other stuff. Still working out the details there, and still have a couple decent sized ones on the line, maybe just need to set the hook on those. But hopefully more to come on that in the next week or so.
Great. Yeah, I've got a few more I'm working on that I'd love to mention, but I can't do it yet.
I want to say, Kent, thanks for coming on board and helping out with that. As you can see, it can be pretty stressful, trying to get those sponsors and work on that stuff. So I appreciate you coming on, especially being a Washington angler and helping us out with that stuff. And as our growth goes and grows and grows and grows, we're starting to become a little more noticed. So if you stick with it and help us out in the following years, you'll see that I think it'll get a little bit easier. We're definitely getting known. So thanks again, Kent. That's awesome.
Happy to help.
So as you can hear by that list, we've been working our asses off on trying to get sponsors lined up this year. We are still looking we never did land a signature sponsor this year, a big signature sponsor, and we're still looking for at least one more presenting sponsor that's interested in donating some cash to help us with our payouts. We're a little short of where we want to be. We've got enough that I think we can get through it and we'll be fine. But if we can get one more presenting sponsor, we'll really be in great shape. And two more or a signature sponsor, we'll have a season the likes of which none of you have ever seen. So let's do it. Let's figure out a way to do it.
Marvin, I want to say one thing on that.
Both of you.
And I usually hit up, I didn't do it this year, but I usually hit up all of the guys on my page, the WKBF page. But you guys know somebody or think you know somebody that might be willing to work out or work with us, man, don't stay quiet. This is a lot tougher than you think. And we are doing it for all of you. This is our objective. You guys are our goal. And so anything you can lead us to or give us a hint on, tell one, me, Chris, Marvin, we'll get it to Kent or we'll work on it ourselves. Just give it. It doesn't matter what you think or what you think, just give us the leads. We'll take and run with them. But, especially if you know somebody or you have a foot in, but it helps us out tremendously because it's a lot tougher than, you guys get to come and we go fishing and everything's good. But what happens all winter long and all fall long and all in the background is us trying to scramble to find this stuff so we can make things better for you guys. We want the payouts bigger. We want the prizes better. We want the experience to be better. We want to grow the sport. We want everything about this to be better. And it even, we're trying as hard as we can, and every little bit that we can get just helps us out that much more to help you guys out and to make things better for you guys. So don't think that if you've got something you think might work, don't think we won't want to listen, because we are all ears.
Big or small. We have some small sponsors that's great. We love it. Big sponsors are super, but we need the small stuff too, because we want as many people that come to the event as possible to walk away with at least, a bag of baits or something. I mean, even if it's just that, it's still something that you came and participated and got it. Couldn't say that any better than you did, Jim. Thanks. Chris, you had something too?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one other sponsor that came on was Bunker Baits by Vetbro Fishing. They're donating I think it's 3 products per event. So I think that's platinum level for us. So they're new. They're out of Idaho, out of the Kuna area. But check them out. They're also available at Adams Family Tackle and several other places. They do also do online through their website at bunkerbaits.com. Just
That's great. I just marked them as confirmed on the list. I didn't have them as confirmed. And there's a couple other that I'm super excited that I think are real close to happening. Oh, the other one I think I can mention is 3 of them I think I can mention. We had some product from some of these people last year, and I talked at the Sportsman's Show with him about that, and I'm confident that's going to happen as well. We're going to have Daiwa back. So we're going to have some Daiwa products, including Daiwa reels. We're going to have Gerber online this year. We're going to have some Gerber tools, local company, Northwest company. And we're going to have Bahio sunglasses back again. We gave away a pair of the glass lens Bahio sunglasses, which are like, what, $250, $300 sunglasses, fishing sunglasses. If you're not familiar, Bahio are what became of Costa, really. Costa was bought by a big international conglomerate, and they closed all the manufacturing and laid off a bunch of employees in the USA and moved all of their production overseas. So if you buy Costas now, they're made overseas. So a lot of the people that former employees of Costa, they bought a bunch of the tooling equipment from Costa because they were closing down the plants in the US, and they started Bahio. So you're buying the same quality and the same craftsmanship that you had at Costa, but honestly, they've knocked it out of the park with their styles and their colors and stuff. A lot of these fishing sunglasses are kind of boring. You know, they work well, but they're kind of boring glasses. The Bahios are pretty cool sunglasses that they sell. I really like a lot of the styles they do. And there's more that we're working on that we're close. I'm just hoping we can make some of them happen. And some of them are big if we can make it happen, but we'll see.
One more thing, just real quick, guys, just to add to what I said earlier, understand that our sponsors don't have to be fishing related all the time too. You could have a
Totally.
Yeah. So don't think it's got to be fishing. That doesn't matter if it's a car dealership, a doctor's office, a realtor's office, whatever. You know, if you got an in and they're interested in supporting this stuff, you know, they get a slot when on our Facebook pages or all of our, when we're on all of our live events, everything, you know, we broadcast their info out there. So don't feel that it just needs to be fishing, because it doesn't need to just be fishing.
Absolutely. And one of the things we're going to be working on this year, the 3 of us, and James Reynolds is helping me out with some social media stuff as well, is we're going to try and capture some little short videos and photos of you guys using the equipment that our sponsors make. So especially if you've won it or you've purchased it from one of our sponsors, we want to get little short videos and photos of those in use. So if you guys want to shoot some little videos and photos and get them to us, that's great. Or the 3 of us and James and some of our other co-directors who are here with us, a lot of those are here with us. We want to try and capture more data at our events, more content at our events that we can put on the website and promote people. The more we promote them, the more they're willing to donate and stay with us. If we don't promote them, they'll go away. And luckily we haven't had many go away. So we need to keep that record up.
Real quick, Pat said, I don't want him to go missed here. He's done this before for us, but Pat said pretty much any tournament he comes to, he'll have a one-of-a-kind painted custom lure to give away. So
that stuff is great, man. They're killer looking lures.
I want
If
to bring
you've
that
seen,
to attention. Thanks.
I think Colin won a great little pack of his, didn't he, at Wallula last year? Somebody did.
Marvin, did RoboHawk join back in this year?
I've got to follow up with him. That's on me. I'm sure he will. We'll have some Roblox stuff, and you can still get that at Next Adventure, I believe.
And with the sunglasses, do they carry prescription? Do you know?
You can get prescription with them. We won't be giving away prescriptions. The prescription is great. It's pricey. If you want to get prescription glasses from any of those big name sunglass companies like that, they're kind of pricey. But for somebody like you that has to wear glasses all the time, yeah, it's worth it. Okay, I think that's it on sponsors. Let's talk about a few things that I get asked about that we can kind of cover in here. Identifiers. I'm not ready to do identifiers yet. We're still trying to line up, again, presenting sponsors and signature sponsor get their logo on the identifiers. So I really, as much as I would love to release them early and everybody wants them ahead of time, I just can't do it yet. I'm going to have to wait until really close to March 1st when our first online start before I can release it. And if they're not complete by then, I'll go ahead and release it, and we might have to change it like we did last year. But hopefully we won't. And the same goes for the Blue Fox identifiers. If you like using the Blue Fox tin tag, we'll do it as soon as we can, but I just can't do it now. We had to redo those last year, and a few folks were using the old identifier that didn't have all of our sponsor logos on them. And we'd like to avoid that situation if we can. So you might have to use a printed identifier in attorney tag or in a Ziploc bag or laminated or something in the meantime. But we'll try and get Blue Fox tin tags available to you as soon as we can. I've also been asked about jerseys, and we talked about that a little bit at the Sportsman's Show. So I'm going to get that done here real quickly, is get some jerseys that have the KFNW logo and 3 division logos. And then hopefully you'll be able to upload your own logos if you're sponsored by anyone, or if you have any pro staff deals, you should be able to upload your own logos onto that. I considered putting some of our presenting sponsor logos and stuff, but that's a potential conflict. I'm on the Native Watercraft team, so it's a little weird for me to have the Old Town logo and the Native logo on a jersey. So we're going to just keep it to our logos, and you'll be able to upload whatever else you need. And if you want to upload, any of the others, Next Adventure or Old Town, that are some of our presenting or signature sponsors, you're certainly welcome to do that too. Let's see, we talked about that. Let's talk about Tourney X a little bit. Dwayne's been working on the app, adding new features and stuff, which are pretty cool. I think we're going to be able to use this new check-in photo feature that we've talked about. Those of you who have been around know we've talked about it last year or two. I think you'll be able to do check-in photos in the check-in section this season. And that we had a problem with it last year, that if you tried to take and submit your photo as a submission, your virtual check-in photo, if it was taken before lines in or launch time, it wouldn't allow you to upload it because of the time. And so that won't be an issue because you'll be doing it on the virtual check-in screen in Tourney X. We'd like to use that as much as we possibly can. It's a safety feature. We can't always rely on good service everywhere that we fish. So we're not at this point going to make it a requirement. We're not going to disqualify somebody for not doing it, but I will harass you about it. And Chris and Jim will harass you about it if you're not using it. We really want everyone using it to make sure we know where you launched, when you launched, and know when you got off the water. That's the main thing, especially if somebody doesn't show up for the check-in, which you really need to show up for the check-in. And if you're not going to show up for the check-in, you have to contact us, or you have to tell some other anglers, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. But try to call us or send us a message somehow and let us know that you're not going to be there. Otherwise, we're going to get search and rescue out there looking for you, and we're going to be really pissed if you're playing video games.
The quickest way to stop a weigh-in is don't show up for it without telling
That's right.
anybody. Because
We'll stop it,
and we're going to call the sheriff and we're going after you. So make sure you say something to somebody that's going to say something to us. preferably just say something to us, me, Chris,
Yes.
or
Yes.
so.
Do
we're
whatever
the
you
ones-
have to, but if you can, get us on the phone or send us a text message or something and just let us know. And of course, if you do that, you, whatever you caught isn't gonna count. You're gonna be disqualified by not showing up for the weigh-in and the awards. The one exception we'll make to that is, and we did this for a few events last year, if you show up to the awards, even if you're a little early, as long as we're there, if you show up and make an appearance and then you need to leave and go, that's fine. You won't be disqualified. We'll count your catches towards it. You won't be in the gear drawing. You won't be able to win anything in the gear drawing, but that's not a big deal. But at least your catches will count and your AOI points and all that will still count. So if you can do that, if you need to leave, but you can make an appearance at the awards and then split, that's going to save you a couple hours because it takes us an hour or two to do those. So check-in photo, clean photo reminder. The newbies, especially. The tough thing about kayak tournament fishing is getting a good photo. I always say, if you're in a bass boat tournament and you catch a fish and you get it in your live well, you are guaranteed that the points are going to count for that unless you kill the fish. Fish dies in your live well, you're not going to get those points. But as long as it stays alive in that live well, those points are going to count. It's not like that for us. You can catch that fish and have it jump off the board, which almost every single one of us have had happen before you get a good photo, and that sucks. Or you can do the wrong thing with the photo. We've had fish that were turned the wrong way on the board. The head has to be to the left, and we've had photos submitted where the head's to the right. That's going to be disqualified. You cover up the eye, going to be disqualified. If even the tiniest little amount of your glove or your hand is under the gill plate, you're going to get disqualified. And so those points aren't going to count. So be really careful about getting good photos. Read the rules really carefully. I'll be with you in a sec, Jim. And then read them again. And then when you're done, take a break and then read them again. And practice. The onlines are a great way to practice your submissions and get them up without quite as much pressure. And I think Dwayne's going to set up a test board. I think we might even get him to set one up for us where you can go on there and submit your photos and make sure your GPS is working. You need to have your GPS on for Tourney X. We're going to be cracking down on that this year. If your GPS isn't working, we're going to give you a really hard time about it. We're going to start denying fish for it. What else about that? I think I'll hand it over to you, Jim. You had an idea.
Just one thing I just wanted to, Marvin, you pulled a me. Guys, it's not you're going to be disqualified. That photo will be disqualified.
Oh, did I say disqualified?
Yes.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I totally, I
I
correct
say that-
everybody on
that's
that,
a
and I
move.
and I
That's a
totally
move.
blew it. Denied.
That's
Anglers
a
get disqualified. Fish get denied. You can't disqualify a fish because you could catch it again and submit it, and as long as you only submit it once, that would count. That fish isn't disqualified from the event. Only you can be, and so you have to do something very wrong to be disqualified, like fishing before lines in, launching before launch time, cheating, any number of things. So don't do that. And thank you, Jim, for correcting me on what I correct everybody else for. Got me. Watch for warnings about location. So if you go to submit stuff in Tourney X and you get a message about we're going to use your current location, you're not doing it right. Your settings are not correct. If you need help with the settings, if it's iPhone, reach out to me. Probably is the best way to go. Although Chris is very knowledgeable about that too. If you're using Android, Matt Burdick usually is a good person to talk to about that. He's good at helping people out with making sure you get your GPS settings working all properly. We are going to be cracking down on that stuff this year because it's a problem. So, okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay. That's about all I have in there. Chris, you have anything else?
I would just reiterate read the rules. Even if you read them already, read them again, please. It makes our life easier if you know the rules.
And we've got some new rules this year. We went over that in the rules. If you didn't watch that, if you weren't here for the Zoom meeting on that, it's on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel, KFNW YouTube, and you'll find the rules Zoom meeting that we did. And we go over all the rules and all the rules that have changed. If you go to the rules page, down at the bottom, there's a section in red. And those are the rules that have either been modified or have been added or have been removed. We've removed a few rules as well. So check that out. One I want to point out is our length, our minimum length has changed. So if you're fishing our average tour event or our average online challenge, the minimum now is 10 inches instead of 8. It was 8 inches last year. It's 10 inches this year. If you're fishing the season longs or the no limit online challenges, it is 14 inches for those. You've got a minimum of 14. It was 12 last year. It's 14 this year. How about you, Jim? Anything else on rules or anything?
One other thing is reminder, we only use catch boards. We don't care what kind of catch board, but it has to be a catch board.
One exception to that, the folding catch board is not allowed.
Correct.
But all the other catch boards.
And a lot of our sponsors carry them. Coincidentally enough, wink, wink.
Yeah.
So you can get them at a lot of our sponsors.
Adams does.
Adventure.
Next Adventure. I don't know if Next Adventure, I'm not sure if they still have any. They might have sold out. I'm not sure. I don't see Matt or Brandon here, but
we do have some, but
I have some
available for you.
Yeah.
I have some for my guys in Washington. They're looking to buy some. I have some still. I do want to add, if you've got a metal catch board, you need to scrub that thing.
Clean it.
Keep it clean. Because if you don't keep it clean and we cannot read the numbers on your board, I don't care if you could see it clear in your photo. If I can't see it clear in my photo, I'm going to either deduct you or deny you. So it's in the rules. That's part of the thing. And we're all paying to play. We all got to follow the rules. So watch those boards because that helps us a ton. The yellow carbonate boards, amazing. I don't have any.
Easiest to
no
judge.
problem
We can
reading.
really see it on those.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got a red board and those white tick marks are dirty with fish slime, you've got brown on red. Hard to see. And the people with black boards, I hate you.
Yeah.
I don't think we have many, but
No.
I'm gonna
Red
second that
boards
one, Martin.
are-
They are the worst boards to judge.
Yeah, the red boards always kick, or the orange ones kick my tail, and I own one. It just, I always have a hard time seeing them. You just can't see them. So
the green and blue are for the metal boards. I think are the ones I like the best. But yeah, hands down, that yellow plastic carbonate board. It's cheaper, it's lighter, and it's way easier to see what's going on.
and I know we touched on this, but this is the one issue that I run into every year, whether you're a veteran or a new person, is the identifiers. The identifiers always are sticky. Somebody either grabs an old one, which is the wrong one, or they grab one, or they have something that's not, like, we changed it last year and we let it go for a little bit and then it wasn't any good anymore. And then they say, but I have an identifier. So pay attention to your identifiers, make sure they're not cut off in your photos, make sure they can see they're clear, make sure everything can be seen on those, because that's probably the biggest ding of the veteran anglers and the new anglers that we get, is when your identifier either has glare on it and we can't read it, or you've got an angle so steep on that photo that we can't read those. And just because you think you can, and what we're going to do with that photo is we're going to take one that I can't read. I take it, I send it to Marvin, I send it to Chris, I send it to somebody else, and I say, what does that say?
Without telling us, without telling us what the code's
telling you.
supposed to be. Yeah.
What does that say? And if they don't know what that says, guess what? You're getting a denial on that photo. So identifiers are hugely important. So hand placement and identifiers, the new guys, I know it sounds simple, but you're going to jump in there with the rest of us. It's not as simple as it sounds all the time. So,
And those tourney tags, you got to be careful with the tourney tag too sometimes, because if it has some air in it, especially if it's like curled, like you pulled your elastic so tight that the tourney tag is like buckling.
it folds up.
It folds up and some air gets in there, and then you get the angle wrong and we can't see the identifier. Like it's in there, but we can't see it.
And that's another reason new guys, especially new guys, you want to take multiple pictures. because what happens, especially on a live event, we will call you. I'll call my guy, and I'll say, hey, you've got a photo that's not good. It's such and such fish. Do you have another one? I can't, this one's not going to work. And if you only took the one photo, then I have to deny that fish. But if you have some others, you can submit those, and then that fish will count. So
And this is another reason that I will say something I say often as well is don't be a sandbagger, Jimmy. Nobody likes a sandbagger.
nobody likes a sandbagger.
And if you're sandbagging, there's a good chance that if there's a problem with your photos, it's not going to be caught in time to warn you so that you can re-upload. We've had this happen a few times where, and sometimes it's not even a sandbagger. Sometimes it's just because we've got so many fish, we don't get to it until after the upload submission time, or if we got bad service, we don't get to it until the upload submission time is over. And so you don't have a chance to replace it. You can't replace a fish after the upload submission time. You can't re-upload another photo of that fish. If you have fish that have been culled, auto-culled, and we deny a fish, then your auto-cull, your biggest auto-cull will come in and replace it, even if it's after upload submission. So that's another great rule of thumb is don't upload 5 fish. Michael Mumford is not here, but he did that last year in an event that he won, and we had to deny a fish, and he only had 5 fish, and luckily it was before the upload submission time ended, so he was able to re-upload his fish, but he was manually culling because he was new, and he didn't realize that TourneyX would automatically cull your top 5 fish and hold the others in reserve just in case it needed to use them. So
this is also a great reason to attend the opener for each state. It gives you a little practice to dust off the winter if you're returning, and if you're new, it gives you a chance to actually take pictures during a tournament that actually matter.
Yeah.
When you actually, you can't sit there and spend a half an hour on one picture.
Another thing we're changing a bit this year that we're really cracking down on is the angle of your fish. A few people are going to be surprised by this, that kind of do this, and they're going to get hit with it early and hopefully learn their lesson. If you're shooting your photos at a backward angle, like let's say you're leaning back and taking the photo where we're seeing most of the fish's belly, if we can't, or if you're shooting it from one side, like up into the gill plate where it can see up under the gill plate, if we can't see clearly whether the mouth is closed or not, you may get dinged a half an inch for the mouth being open. If it may be closed, but we can't tell. And if we can't tell, there's a good chance you're going to get dinged for it regardless. And if it's bad enough, we're going to deny the fish, not disqualify the fish, deny the fish.
Some of the guys are trying to take photos so they can see their whole kayak and their lap and everything.
Oh,
guys.
please don't do that.
We don't need that. All we need is that board and that fish. We can see that it's in the bottom of a kayak, and we need your identifier clearly put in there and your hand placement right. Don't cover the eye. Don't have anything under stuff like Marvin said earlier, but that's what we want. We don't need to see the water in the side of your kayak and everything else, because what happens is when you blow that photo up, or we try to, now we can't read stuff. And guess what? Now we've got an argument with, but I did it and it's this and it's that. But the bottom line is we can't read it. And then again, we send it off. And if somebody else can't read it and we can't read it, then it's denied. And,
yeah, you got to realize that it might look great on your phone, your iPhone, brand new iPhone that's shooting at, 6,000 pixels across. But when you upload that to TourneyX, it's going to downsize that to the TourneyX resolution, which isn't as high. So there's a good chance if you do what Jim's talking about, if you shoot with your camera way up over your head to get like the entire boat and everything, we may zoom in on it and not even be able to tell where the tail lands. And so we're going to have to round down to the closest thing we know we're safe giving it. You might lose a 1/4 inch or a half an inch if you do that. I don't think we've actually dinged somebody for that yet, but it's been close a few times where it's like, I don't think we're going to be able to give them the length that they asked for.
Well, like you said, this year is the year we're going to start cracking down on stuff. So we're getting big enough now, guys, that there's just, we're growing exponentially, and we've got to straighten up things, get rid of the gray areas, and black and white's the best way to go. Then there's no confusion. So
We've got so many anglers that their photo submissions are impeccable. They're just great. Every photo is good, it's clear, it's easy to judge. And we're trying to get everybody up to that level. And so if you're not submitting great photos, we're gonna ding you a little bit until you learn your lesson.
wipe your camera lens off.
I've made that mistake.
Right. Yeah, that make
Blurry.
sure when you take a photo, you're looking. The new guys set a net at the end of that board at the back of the fence. So when that fish flops, he goes in the net, because I'm telling you, if you don't
That's
care
smart.
what you try to hold down, you're gonna hold a 10-inch fish down. If he flips, it's gonna lift your hand, he's going out. That's just the way they are.
Totally.
So I mean, you guys will learn that lesson.
Wet your board before you put the fish on it. Dip
Wet
it
your
in the
board.
water, cool it down, especially those metal boards. Cool it
Yep.
down, get it wet, and the fish will be much more comfortable on the board. It really does make a difference.
Real quick, Marvin, let's just touch on it again. Remember, guys, the state has asked us this year to make sure we're not killing anything during events. So we went over this during the rule session. Some of you guys, this is your first time here. You weren't here for the rule stuff. If you catch a walleye when you're out, or you catch a perch when you're out, or you catch a catfish when you're out, if you're fishing in an online, which
Can't
is a
keep
month
it.
long, or you're fishing in the season long, or you're fishing in our live events, do not kill those fish. You will be disqualified.
Yes.
The state said we cannot do that. So and the only reason we're saying is we've had some photos with walleyes in the background and stuff. So you can't kill those fish. You're going to be catch and release when you're fishing in a tournament.
Yeah, and that's the other rule thing we've talked about. If you're going to go out walleye fishing, then let us know. But I mean, as long as you're not fishing our tournament at the same time, it doesn't really matter. But if you got to choose one or the other. Either you're fishing catch and release for the tournament, or you are fishing for fish you're going to keep. You can't combine the two. And that's true of Washington and Oregon. I'm not sure if it is in Idaho, but it is a KFNW rule, so you need to follow it for all three. Somebody in the chat asked about sandbagging. We were talking about sandbagging, and they weren't familiar with the term. So, and somebody answered it, but I'll just go over that real quick. It's the concept that if you hold your fish and don't submit them in Tourney X, that somehow that's giving you a mental advantage, like as if people were going to say, oh, well, I'm sure nobody else is going to upload anything, so I'm just going to stop fishing or not try very hard. I'm not sure I quite agree with the strategy, but that's the idea behind it, is you don't upload your fish until right near the end. It's a risky thing to do, and at some point it will bite you in the butt. I can promise you.
There are tournaments here that you take your photo of your fish, you have to have that thing submitted within 15 minutes.
I'd love to do something like that. I get asked, how can we make rules to stop sandbagging, but we just can't, because we don't always have service, and I'm not going to penalize somebody because they didn't have service.
Right.
There was a guy in the Wallula tournament last year who dropped his phone after he caught 5 fish and it went in the lake. So
that was Trey Potts, I believe.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
That was Trey Potts, and he went and got a new phone, and I'm pretty sure Trey lost that phone too.
Oh my gosh.
He had
RoboHawk.
a time with phone.
So
Yeah.
don't
He had a
sandbag.
time with. Yeah.
Yeah, got to use a tether on your phone. That's one of the first lessons all of us learn. Most of us have damaged or lost a phone at some point. So put a tether on your PFD and throw that phone in
Cheap,
your pocket.
$15.
Yeah, it's cheap insurance for an $800 phone,
And everything we're talking about, fish jumping out or losing your phone or doing this, I'm telling you right now, there are two types of people that do this stuff. Those that have done all that and those that are going to do all that. So don't think you are not going to do it, because my God, it will happen.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Anybody have any questions that they want to
Yep.
get on the live mic and ask?
So are you doing a Sandbagger award this year, Marvin?
I've considered doing a jackass trophy, but
Because I'm looking forward to that trophy.
well, That's the only question. That's pretty good.
Hey, Marvin, I mentioned it in the comments. If you have a YouTube channel and we plug one of the sponsors, we should let you guys know.
Absolutely. And I'll add you to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel kind of sucks right now. I don't have much content on there, but I do add any of our members who have channels. I try and add them there and put a link. And I'd be happy to get something going on social media too, where we have a list of all the YouTube channels that our users have if people want to go and check them out and like them.
I'll say this for the Washington guys. I have a whole lot of plans this year. Like I mentioned at the end of last year, I am not fishing competitively this season. My focus is the anglers this year. And I have been working since I've been allowed to, since my hip was replaced this winter. So since I've been Josh Ruffcorn, who's on here, he's been helping me out. Patrick Kelly's been helping me out. We've been doing a lot of work in the background. We have a lot more work to do in the background to make things a whole lot better. At least that's the way I'm going to say it. At least things more exciting, better, more appealing for you guys. So I'm looking forward to the Sprague Lake event because it should be an absolute blast. So something to look forward to for you guys.
Yeah, a little shout out to all the other people that volunteer and help us. Kagan Pancratz helps us in Oregon. Matthew Burdick, aka Soulless Ginger, up here on the Zoom meeting, also helps me out in Oregon. Mark Middleton helped me out this year with some sponsorship stuff. I really appreciate that, Mark. Chris, you want to do a shout out to your guys? Well, we've got Zach,
Oh,
for sure.
Sorry, I was reading a message, so I wasn't fully paying attention.
Your volunteers, your helpers.
Oh yeah, I have some. We have a social committee this year that'll be doing some food for the weigh-ins, and then Zach, he's our photographer this
Zach
year.
Lardy. Mhm.
We're still taking applications if anybody wants to be an assistant. Pay is terrible. The work is, is what it is. You do get to judge fish. I don't know what else to tell you.
That's great.
Chris is the one state that does that by himself. So if there's some Idaho guys that want to step up and help him out, man, it goes a long ways with us directors. Like I said, I have Josh Ruffcorn this year and Patrick Kelly. The past several years, it's been Patrick Kelly and me, and he's been in there, but we're getting big enough now. Judging the fish, guys, is such a big, especially on the no limits that we have, or some of the pick your days when everybody's slamming them in there. And I have sat down for 6 hours and judged fish.
Oh yeah, we all have.
It's exactly that. It's the judging the fish. And even if you don't want to like fully participate,
yeah,
if you've been around already a few years and you want to help judge, please let me know. We will get you involved somehow, probably on the onlines first, and then kind of work you into live ones at some point. But the assistance is that is a big reason why we don't hold events on the same weekend in multiple states, because the judging is too difficult for one.
Well, that and I don't, if somebody wants to fish all the events, I want them to be able to, if they want to travel to other states. But I'm very picky about who we allow to judge, so we'll be very harsh on anybody that does want to get into judging. The three of us do the majority of the judging, and our assistants help us with judging as well, and sometimes save our bacon, find things that we missed. And
you do help with the judging, and then if there's anything that's got a call to it, you leave it to Marvin, Chris, or I.
Yeah, exactly. We make those final calls, and when we come up against something that we're not positive about, we definitely do a committee sort of vote thing on that, and we get multiple people that are weighing in on what we think the judging.
We've had to use other states, right, Marvin? Like last year, Banks Lake, we had 11 different judges from all across the U.S.
I've got a big network of people I can ask outside of here too, and we all do, and we'll reach out to them if there's something that's really tricky or if it's disputed, especially if somebody doesn't agree with us about that. Just another point too, we don't judge, especially for live events, we do not judge events that we are fishing in. So if I'm fishing in an event, I'm not one of the judges on that event, even if I'm the tournament director. I might make some final calls at the end. If there are things that people are not sure about, I might weigh in with my vote on that. But in general, if we're fishing the event, we're not judging, and we're not looking at the judging or looking at any of the information in there.
Chris, if you need to, you can always reach out to me. I can help judge in Idaho too.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
Matt,
yeah, you do, Matt. You're already helping
you
out
already
a ton.
do. You're probably our
Yeah.
second most, second
Yep.
used judge. Yeah, definitely.
And
Marvin,
the other
can
thing
you
I'd
hear?
say is, if you guys are, see something that maybe a judge missed, because it does happen, reach out to Marvin or.
Great point. If you're an angler and you're
Great.
fishing an event, make sure you check the other fish that are ahead of you. Because it happens. I mean, things get missed, and sometimes the anglers looking at those events ahead of you and letting us know, don't call it out at the weigh-in, yell, oh, but
Yeah.
contact us privately,
About it.
tap us on the shoulder if you're at an event, or let us know if you see something. I have anglers contact me all the time that maybe something that we haven't judged yet in an online that's in there, and they see something that doesn't look right, and they let us know, and sometimes they're correct, and we fix it.
Marvin, can you touch on just deformities of fish? I know what the answer is, but some guys might not know.
Yeah, if a fish is messed up, like if it's got a mouth that won't close, sorry, you're going to get deducted a half an inch for that open mouth if the mouth just can't close. It's not your fault, but it's not our fault either, because we don't know if it's because the mouth can't close or because you didn't close the mouth. There's no way for us to tell the difference. And if a fish is mangled, if it's bad enough, you may get disqualified for that from the event. The fish will certainly be denied, and you might get disqualified. So, this is to try to prevent somebody from picking up a dead fish. We've all seen it. A fish that's in the water is dead and looks terrible, but it's, like a 6-pound fish. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to throw that on my board. No. And that's why we need to see the eye too. We need to make sure if you catch a fish that's got a dead eye, so the fish is alive, but its left eye, which is the one, if its head's to the left, its left eye is going to be up. If that eye is dead, I recommend you shoot a video of that fish. Pick it up off the board, get a video of both sides of the fish, get a video of you putting it in the water and releasing it, and it's swimming away. And then if there's any dispute or any question about whether that fish was alive, you've got proof, and you'll win in any dispute. We can often tell if the fish is alive, even if it's got a dead eye. We can tell by looking at the gills and looking at other things. We usually know, but it's possible that somebody would dispute it, and you might have to prove that the fish was alive. So you don't have to submit that video, but shoot it and keep it on your phone until well after the event, a couple days after the event, just to make sure that that you're covered. I'm glad that came up, because that's something we don't always say, and it's a great tip.
Right. I do remember one fish, and I know this isn't going to happen ever. I remember we had one fish. This is when Jason was doing it.
I remember that one.
Had an eyeball eaten out of it. Like, it was gone. The left eye was gone out of the fish, and they measured it, but they also put a video in of the fish swimming away. Same fish.
You're safe. Yeah, you're safe then.
It was accepted, because that technically no eyeball. That's the denial.
It's as bad as covering the eye, really. I mean, we can't really tell.
I mean, this fish was white skulled and no in the socket and no eye, but he videoed it swimming away. So obviously he caught it. So
That's great. That's great. Anything else? Anybody else got anything? Top lip missing. Yeah, we've seen that, Thorn, for sure. Oh yeah, thanks, Colin. That's a good one. Attorney X does use Stripe and PayPal now. I'm planning to stick with PayPal. We're going to be paying people through PayPal. I don't plan on switching, although I don't know for sure. I need to talk to the accountant and see. At some point, especially as we're growing, we may transition away from PayPal. I don't know. We may transition to some more other sort of digital payments, or it's possible we could even go to paper checks if that's what CPS says we should do. That's what some of the bigger series do. If you win some of these really big series, they're gonna mail you a check. So we might have to go to that, but at this point in time, I expect us to do the same thing. We'll be paying you through PayPal. So you need to have, if you're winning an event, you need to have a PayPal account where you can receive funds from somebody. You can't just use the pass-through sort of PayPal account that doesn't have all the accounts set up. And if you haven't verified it with a bank account and a credit card and stuff, it may take you a while to get the money if your account is not verified that way. There was something else with that I just thought of, but I've lost it now.
Marvin, just real quick, one of the guys asked, what's the discount for the KFNW through Next Adventure? You want to go over that? You talked about it, but we didn't tell them.
Yeah, we did. It's 15% on accessories. If you want to see what the rest is, go to the members only page on, that's something I should bring up. That's changed this year. So this year, everybody, when you sign up for a membership, you're creating an account with a username and a password on the website. And if you log in and go to your page, your profile page, account page on the website, that's where the members only will be. I've got some more stuff I'm going to be adding to that, like tonight or tomorrow. There's some really good deals going on at Next Adventure. If you're looking for like a Hobie PA, they've got a bunch of Hobie PAs that we're doing some good deals on. So yeah, check that out. I'll get it updated as soon as I can. And you can take a look at it there. The old members only page that had one password for everybody is going away. It's still up there right now. The one from last year, it hasn't been updated, but it's going away. You'll have to go to your member account page with your login. And if you forget your password, you can reset your password. Don't ask me for your password because I can't tell you what your password is. You'll have to reset it. What else we have there? Yeah, thank you for that too, Colin. KBN did a podcast with Dwayne Wally from Tourney X and went over a lot of the updates. So if you're Kayak Bass Nation Facebook group member, you can go and look at that video, or I think they have them on YouTube as well if you go to YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube and they're really pushing the stripe thing.
Well, some people hate PayPal. I'm not a big fan of PayPal either. Personally, I don't use it in my business. I do a lot of e-commerce website stuff for my work, and I use Stripe extensively for that, and I like Stripe, but PayPal does make things a little simpler for us in some ways, especially in terms of paying people.
I've never even heard of Stripe.
Well, you wouldn't really have heard of Stripe unless you're it's a merchant account for e-commerce websites. I know it because that's my business, but most of you probably wouldn't even know or care.
I know this kind of falls in the rules category, but one thing I'd like to say is also the drinking and drug use during tournaments, because we had issues with beer cans and photos last year.
Yeah, we did have somebody in online who did that, and that's an instant disqualification, and it can be a ban for life. If it's a bad enough infraction, you may get banned for life for doing that. So yeah, alcohol is not allowed on the kayak at all when you're participating in an online or a live tournament, and illegal drug use is absolutely, that will get you banned if we find evidence of that in any way.
The marijuana stuff, the same thing. It's just like alcohol.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's legal, but don't do it. You're probably going to get disqualified. You're not going to get banned for life for it, but don't do it. And especially like around the awards, no smoking or vaping or anything, whether it's tobacco or pot. Don't do it around the awards.
Right. We're not here to harass you when you do that stuff, but what we are here is to make sure that you don't fall out of your boat and drown over a silly mistake that you made because maybe you weren't thinking straight. That's
Absolutely.
what we
Absolutely. And it's a liability thing. Like if somebody gets hurt or something and they're drunk, I mean, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. I stand a lot to lose there, liability wise. We have insurance, but for that, I don't know what would happen. On that positive note, anybody else have something a little more upbeat before we say goodnight? it's going to be a great season. I'm really looking forward to it. I plan to travel and do as much of these events as I can. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tricky. It's a little better than last year in terms of travel for most of us, but it's still going to be a challenge. And we've got some people that live out in remote areas. They're planning to travel and fish a lot more of these events. There's a couple guys way in Southern Oregon that are planning to fish all of our events. That's a haul. They're going to be driving to do that, and I really appreciate them doing that. There's some folks up in the Coeur d'Alene and Spokane area who are doing the same. They're going to travel to more events this year and fish more events. And that's the best way to potentially get us to do more events closer to you, is if we get the numbers in those more remote areas, we'll do it. We try and do events in Southern Oregon sometimes, and we have done them up in Northern Idaho and far Eastern Washington. So we'll try and accommodate it if we have the numbers.
I have a question. What's the media of choice if we want to reach out to other fishermen as far as sharing Airbnbs, that sort of thing?
I think most of that happens on Facebook, but I don't really we don't have anything formal set up for that. And I wouldn't be opposed to something a little more formal. But that's the main way. I have at times had it on the website, like for the classic and I might do that this year again. When I get the classic page set up on the website, I might create a comments area at the bottom of that page where people can comment, hey, I'm looking for housemates for an Airbnb or something. But mostly it happens on Facebook.
I'm seeing a lot of groups using Slack as a platform for that. I don't know if there's cost associated with that or not.
There's not. It's used a lot in my industry too. I do graphic design and web design and brand strategy. It's used a lot in my industry by people especially people who work from home and stuff. I don't know. If somebody wanted to take that on and manage it, have a Slack channel and stuff, I'm not opposed to it. I don't have the time to do it.
Most just post up in their individual state or wherever they're going. Like if you're coming to Dvorak, that's a popular one. I'm sure there'll be a number of Washington guys coming. Most just post up and just say, hey, does anybody have room? And/or it spins from there and they share. Obviously, the more anglers, cheaper it gets, and bottom line is we're all cheap. So
campsites, Airbnb, if you're booking a campsite, or sometimes I'll book a group campsite and I'll invite a bunch of people to come, and especially tent campers and stuff can all camp at that spot, and we all save money by doing that. Usually the parking is the only tricky part, unless it's a group site. Like we had a group site at the Classic last year, and that was great. We had, I don't know, 8 people, 10 people in that site.
Marvin Thorne Prom's asking, how do you reset your password on the KFNW website? Is that something you want to talk to in person, privately, or
No, we can talk about it here. You go to my account at the top. Pull it up. Gotta make sure I'm saying the right thing. Yeah, you click on my account, and if you're not logged in, you'll see a login screen. And if you don't know your password, there's a link underneath that says "Forgot your password?" ? Click, and it'll send you an email. You'll click in there. You'll go to a page where you reset your password, and then you can log in. Simple.
Thorne gave you the big thumbs up.
He's got big thumbs. Anybody else? I think that's about it. I think we're all getting sleepy. Poor Idaho guys, it's already 9:39. It's bedtime for you guys.
Look, it just arrived in the mail. So
You just moved. You were right there, Win.
yeah, there it is.
Very nice.
So
Lipless.
20 of those, I'll be painting some of those up to bring them.
Awesome. Love me lipless crankbait.
Awesome. They're using.
Thank you so much, Pat. We really appreciate you. And Pat, you're kind of doing this. You do it kind of on the
I do it for fun.
Yeah, I know you do. You do kind of on the down low, but if there's ever anything you want me to do to help promote you or it, I mean, I know you don't want to have to paint 1,000 of them, but
I don't at all.
but if there's anything we can do to thank you for that, just let me know and I'll be happy to do it.
So if anybody has a pattern that they want to see, then shoot me a direct message and I'll try to make it happen.
That's awesome. He does great work. All right, guys and gals. Thanks so much for coming out. If you have any other questions, just reach out to us. But yeah, I hope it's a killer season. I think the numbers are going to be up a little bit. Participation numbers, gas prices are down a little. And I hope to see some of you from out of state come fish some of my events and all around the board. I hope to see some people traveling and meeting other anglers from states. It's always a blast when I get to do that. I get to see people that I know online and get to meet them in person. So I encourage you to do that as much as you can.
Any of the Washington guys, you got any questions from this, especially any people, just go ahead and reach out to me. You can hit me up on Messenger or whatever.
Yeah, if you have questions about event, your tournament director is your first point of contact. If you're doing Washington event, contact Jim. If you're doing Idaho, contact Chris. If you're doing Oregon, contact me. You can always contact me too if it's sort of a general thing, but a lot of times if it's event specific, I'm going to send you to these two guys if it's in their state.
So
Cool. Thanks so much.